Dr. Emma Russell remembers the SF Godzilla Rampage episode when she awakens. Her daughter Maddie is conversing with her estranged father Mark Russell in the kitchen. Emma visits a lab in central China where a massive moth larva is kept with her daughter Maddie. The moth stirs, but Emma calms it by selecting the right frequency on her ORCA device, a small electronic gadget the size of a packing case. A squad of troops rushes in and captures Maddie, Emma, and the device amid sudden gunfire and explosions. A U.S. government committee is questioning Dr. Sarazawa, Dr. Graham, and Sam Coleman about what Monarch is doing. According to Sarazawa, the research is crucial for coexisting with the Titans. The Monarch group leaves when he abruptly receives a call and must leave. Wolf packs in a feeding frenzy are being recorded by Mark Russell in the woods. The three members of the Monarch leadership arrive in a V22 Osprey and return to his cabin. Videos of Maddie and Emma being taken are displayed. He consents to accompany them. After SF, the couple split up, with Mark leaving everything behind to pursue research while Emma stayed behind because they had lost a son. Maddie was left with her mother. While Emma had been working on the ORCA gadget for Titans, Mark had created it to communicate with killer whales. They can track Godzilla as he moves around the oceans thanks to a sizable control center that Monarch has built on a platform near Bermuda. The signals for the coming Godzilla suddenly become more intense. Monarch prepares weaponry, but Mark orders them to stop. They turn off the guns and raise the blast shields. Godzilla swims up close, seemingly focusing on the people within, and then the Titan takes off. When Mark requests to see the history of the tracks, they reveal that Godzilla has frequently passed by the Monarch Antarctic base. A disgruntled British soldier named Colonel Jonah Allen leads his men in an attack on the Antarctica base. They kill the Monarch guards and force their way down, where they find Monster Zero frozen solid. When the soldiers learn that a Monarch squad is approaching, they plant explosives in the ice and are ready to detonate. When the enormous Monarch flying wing appears, several V-22s are deployed. The soldiers exit the plane and engage Colonel Allen's mercenaries in combat. Mark Russell is distantly following. He gets fairly near to the gantry where the two groups are engaged in a stalemate. Maddie starts to leave when Emma tells her to stay, but Mark sees her and implores her to come. Emma activates the explosives by pressing the red button. The two sides rush to flee as the building starts to crumble. Emma, Maddie, and Colonel Allen arrive at their V-22 and launch. Mark delays going to their plane a little after saving a bunch of soldiers. While all of this is happening, Titan Zero, a massive three-headed dragon, emerges from the ice. As it approaches the remaining V-22 and prepares to spit flames, Emma soothes it with her ORCA device from the hovering Osprey, and they take off. Godzilla suddenly appears and engages in combat with the larger three-headed creature. On the ground, the Monarch team scrambles to avoid being crushed. By forcing Godzilla into a crack, the Monster Zero is able to beat him, kill Graham, and take off. The Monarch crew has been found. Mark asserts that they must locate Godzilla. At idle Titan locations, there are 17 Monarch spots. The one in Mexico is moving, the flying wing is headed their way. Rodan, a huge black bird with flaming tail feathers, emerges from a volcano. The 11,000 residents who live near to the mountain should be evacuated, Mark implores Monarch. Monarch detects a powerful cyclone approaching toward Mexico. It is Monster Zero, who has some kind of weather-controlling ability. The flying wing attempts to draw Rodan toward Titan Zero while the V-22 Ospreys fight Rodan while saving lives. The V-22 are taken out one by Rodan. After a fight between Rodan and Monster Zero, the latter successfully launches Rodan into the water. Monster Zero comes close to destroying the Argo, but Godzilla reappears and knocks it out of the air and into the water, where he begins to combat it. The military has fired an oxygen-depleting cruise missile at Monster Zero and Godzilla, Admiral Stenz announces as he enters the scene, ordering the Monarch flying wing to get clear. One more Osprey makes a mayday call, and it is packed with children. The craft makes a difficult but secure touchdown inside the flying wing after Mark moves a parked Osprey out of the way in the landing bay. Monster Zero is almost defeated by Godzilla when he bites off one of its heads, but the bomb strikes the Titans and explodes, causing a massive explosion and the quieting of the area. After a brief delay, Monster Zero emerges from the water without a head and soars to the summit of the volcano while screeching. The severed head grows back. Flying to the volcano, Rodan salutes Monster Zero. Godzilla's signal is lost, and the Monarch team assumes it is dead. Jonah queries Emma about releasing them one at a time and gradually. Emma claims she isn't doing this, though. Then Jonah says, "Long live the king." Madison refers to Emma as a monster. Back on Bravo, Monarch deduces that King Ghidorah, the rival to Godzilla as the greatest apex predator on Earth, is Monster Zero. The world's other latent titans begin to awaken and wreak mayhem. Together, Rodan and King Ghidorah begin destructing Washington, D.C. Eileen Chen, a scientist at the Monarch, claims that Ghidorah is a more powerful extraterrestrial than the others. Mom calls Monarch on video to explain what she did. She believes that freeing the Titans will restore the balance and preserve the Earth because humans are overpopulating and destroying it. She has behaved beyond of her power, in Mark and Monarch's opinion, and she is mad. They should seek out bunkers to retreat to until it's safe to do so, Emma advises. Monarch makes the choice to search for Godzilla. The caterpillar in China grows into a sizable moth, with the senior Dr. Chen admiring the beauty of the amiable giant. In a submarine, Serizawa and Russell discover an underwater city that predates Egyptian ruins. Despite being held back by radiation, a probe is able to capture a picture of a sleeping Godzilla in a dry chamber. Serizawa offers to give Godzilla a good dose of energy by delivering a nuclear bomb to him. He enters the chamber in a one-man craft, approaches Godzilla, pats its nose, and bids the monster farewell in Japanese. The bomb goes off. The submarine emerges, and crew members scan the surface for signs. Godzilla emerges from a large vortex as the Titan approaches the submarine, glances intently at it, but leaves them alone before swimming away. When Mark returns to Bravo, he wants to find Maddie and is getting ready to depart when a dazzling light Mothra in all her splendor breaks through the rain. Maddie tries to stop her mother after realizing she is crazy. Colonel Allen tells Emma no, even if Ghidorah's abilities were greater than anticipated, and that they must see through the plan. Emma realizes they can use Boston's Fenway Park to broadcast an ORCA signal, stopping the Titans. Using the Orca device, Maddie escapes the Monarch bunker, a former nuclear shelter. She travels to Fenway Park, plugs the apparatus into the PA system, and then she starts transmitting a signal. Globally, the Titans come to a halt, and Ghidorah moves towards the direction of Boston in search of the signal. It storms in, blasts the PA speakers, and then sees Maddie through the stadium glass. Maddie tries to flee while grabbing the ORCA. She loses the case while playing baseball, and Ghidorah is going to blast her when all of a sudden, a blue explosion brings the three-headed monster to the ground. When Maddie turns to look, she finds a furious Godzilla coming ashore with a squadron of V22 shooting rockets and a flying wing. In Boston, Godzilla and Ghidorah are currently engaged in combat. Mothra and Rodan are engaged in aerial combat. Godzilla is lowered from the sky by Ghidorah and is left panting among the debris. Ghidorah once more appears to triumph over Godzilla. Mothra beats Rodan by stabbing him with a stinger, but she suffers serious injuries and comes dangerously close to losing the fight. Ghidorah then kills Mothra as she attempts to save Godzilla from him. Particles from Mothra fall onto Godzilla. The ruler group go to find Maddie. They find the ORCA yet not the young lady. In the meantime, Emma has had a shift in perspective and furthermore shows up at Fenway Park. She saves the ruler group and they get away from in a Hummer, trailed by Ghidorah. They attempt to give Godzilla, who is having his energy sucked out by Ghidorah, time to recuperate. The Guardians acknowledge Maddie went to their old family home and go there, tracking down her in the remains of the house. Maddie recuperates and they intend to utilize the ORCA gadget once more. A V22 shows up to remove the group, everybody except Em and get on. She remains on the ground and says sorry. She enacts the ORCA and drives away in a truck, and Ghidorah impacts her the truck she is heading out in, harming her. Mark and Maddie on search and despondency. Godzilla recuperates, presently shining red. He battles again, this time at long last obliterating Ghidorah. Rodan and different titans that show up in Boston and bow before Godzilla. He stands grandiose, the Lord of Beasts.